So you want to know, when is a cancer not a cancer? Well, in this video, you're going to learn all about when a cancer is not a cancer, and especially when it's the Gleason 6 prostate cancer. Welcome to HEALTHdrum. I'm Dr. Bert Vorstman, a urological surgeon and former researcher, and this channel is all about routine medical conditions, self-care, and digital health, so you can be informed and in control of your healthcare needs. If this is your first time on the channel and you like to get fact-based healthcare information, please hit the subscribe button. By the way, HEALTHdrum is for educational and informational purposes only and not a substitute for professional medical advice. The links to the disclaimer and the material in this video are in the description below. Okay, so let's get into it and start sorting fact from fiction. So how common is prostate cancer? Prostate cancer is very common. About 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer. It's the second leading cause of cancer deaths after lung cancer, and the incidence of prostate cancer increases with age and certain inherited conditions, and black men may have a greater incidence of high-grade prostate cancer. On the other hand, most prostate cancers are outlived. So why is prostate cancer screening heavily marketed when most prostate cancers are outlived? So there are many marketing claims for prostate cancer screening and for prostate cancer awareness. You'll hear such things as early detection allows early treatment, early detection allows less aggressive treatments, get screened before it's too late, early detection may improve survival, and screening follows medical guidelines. Now, all of these claims sound very believable, but sadly, there's no scientific evidence that significant numbers of lives are saved by prostate cancer screening. So let's now look and see why most prostate cancers are outlived. Basically, there are 3 groups of prostate cancer. The majority, which are sluggish growing. Many prostate cancers are outlived because they tend to grow very sluggishly, taking some 479 plus or minus 56 days for cell division. This rate of cell division means that it can take 40 years or more from the time of mutation for the cancerous growth to reach about ½ an inch in diameter. The next group are the 10 to 15% high-grade and potentially deadly prostate cancers. And then there's the very common grade 3, or Gleason 3 plus 3 equals 6, or the Gleason 6, which is a fake cancer. The Gleason 6 is labeled as a cancer, but fails to behave as cancerous because it lacks the hallmarks of a cancer. So let's take a better look at this Gleason 6 and see why it fails to behave as a cancer. There are 3 main reasons why the Gleason 6 was tagged as a cancer, based on its low-power microscopic appearances of being a very mild cancer, and some minor biochemical changes, and the possibility of some perineural invasion of the tiny spaces surrounding some of the little nerves within the prostate. But what actually determines whether a cell can be a cancer or not? So the features that determine whether or not a cell can behave as cancerous or not cancerous are the biological pathways for cancer development and for cancer spread. So in the Gleason 6, these biological pathways for cancer development and for cancer spread are inactive. Therefore, the Gleason 6 is a pseudocancer or fake cancer. So if the Gleason 6 is a bogus cancer, why does it still have a cancer label? The reason that the Gleason 6 still has a cancer label appears largely due to the many financial conflicts of interest that impacts much of what goes on in the healthcare arena. Healthcare is financially driven. Many physician conferences, studies, and publications are sponsored by the medical industrial complex, As well, prostate cancer foundations are also heavily sponsored by the prostate cancer industry. As well, the bogus cancer label on the G6 or Gleason 6 allows the life insurance industry to cancel the policies of those with the Gleason 6 pseudo-cancer label. So if the Gleason 6 is a bogus or fake cancer, do you still need to undergo active surveillance and monitoring? So the prostate needle biopsy samples only a tiny amount of prostate tissue. But most prostate cancers are multifocal, which means that there are 2 or more lesions within the prostate, and these growths are of varying aggressiveness because of field effects. Field effects is a phenomenon where the prostate tissue has been triggered to become cancerous at some point in the future by an unknown agent. This effect can lead to new and higher grade lesions in the future and is the reason why active surveillance is recommended. Active surveillance is not about keeping an eye on the Gleason 6 pseudocancer, as there is no scientific evidence that it can upgrade, but surveillance is to keep an eye on the rest of the prostate and the low possibility of developing a new and higher grade of prostate cancer. But are there any concerns with active surveillance for prostate cancer? So there are several disadvantages with MRI active surveillance. MRIs can have false negatives and false positives. Growths need to be at least 5 to 10 millimeters or so to be detectable. They also need to be 5 to 10 millimeters or so to be able to be biopsied, and some high-risk prostate cancers smaller than 5 millimeters may have already spread. This monitoring is not for any possible upgrading of the Gleason 6, as there is no evidence for that, but because prostate cancer is multifocal, and surveillance is for the small possibility that a newer high-grade cancer may develop somewhere else in the prostate at some future time. On the other hand, there is no irrefutable and reproducible data that active surveillance saves significant numbers of lives. So now we know that the Gleason 6 is a bogus cancer and that active surveillance is recommended but fails to save significant numbers of lives. What about prostate cancer treatments? So let's take a good hard look at this screenshot. Do any current treatments for localized prostate cancer save significant numbers of lives? At 12 years, urologists concluded that surgery failed to save significant numbers of lives. At 15 years, another study showed that no treatment had similar survival rates to those who had radiation or surgery. On the other hand, those that had no treatments had none of the complications commonly associated with treatments for prostate cancer. Sadly, there's no irrefutable and reproducible evidence that prostate cancer treatments save significant numbers of lives. And you can get more information at HEALTHdrum.com. So let's recap. In this video, when is a cancer not a cancer, you learned that the Gleason 6 prostate cancer is a bogus cancer, that active surveillance is recommended, but that there is no scientific evidence that active surveillance or prostate cancer treatments save significant numbers of lives. To learn more about routine medical conditions, cash pay healthcare, and digital health, check out these other videos.